Right, ladies, today what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to explain to you how to work with punches. Now, some of you would have used punches, but from the experience of teaching different people, I'm finding out that half of what punches can do, people don't realize you can do it. So I'm going to teach you 4 main steps of what you can do with punches, and they will be as this screen suggests. I'll explain it in a minute. And then afterwards, you can ask me any questions you need to ask. That's no problem. But I'm going to start explaining what we have. So you have 4 types you can get with a punch. And the 4 types are, you can punch a hole. So when you're on a punch, this is a punch. When I'll show you as well where to get them from and everything. When you're on a punch, it will tell you punch hole or just punch. So I'm going to show you the end result of either. If you select punch hole, when you put it onto a piece of material, of course, it would have punched the hole, leaving you with just that piece of material with the hole in it. So that's what the punch hole does. The other, the punch, when you first click it, it will come like so. And most people go, oh, it didn't do anything. But yes, it does. It punches it, leaves it there, and then you can move it to end up with the punched item. So that's the difference between the 2 methods that you can use. Then we have a third way of using them. So you could type anything you want, turn it into a punch, which I will show you how to do, and then punch it out of a piece of picture, from a material, from a photo, and you'll end up with something like that. So if I make it a bit bigger, you can see how it's being punched out of a Christmas picture. Then you have the third type, where you've got 2 pieces of materials, one on top of the other, and you punch. So if you look at this butterfly, it says ungroup because there are 2 pieces in it. So if I ungroup it to show you, there's a piece from a background and a piece from the foreground. And it came as one. So that's what you do when you punch while holding the control key. So what does that mean? It means if I've got 2 pieces of materials, I'll be doing them to show you. You got 2 pieces of material on top of each other. If you just punch, it will only punch the top material. But if you hold the control while you punch, it punches both through. So that's how that works. Let me show you as an example now. So for the first one, punching a hole. Let's get some material. So I could go into one of my DigiKits and pick up any DigiKit. Let's do the Daydream because I know everybody has Daydream. But it doesn't matter what materials you are, they can be as nice or as ugly as you want, because that makes no difference, okay? Now, I'm going to work. Now, this is another thing. One of my other groups had a problem with this, so I'm going to explain it now. Do not try to punch on a background, because the background is on a different layer. And I always, when I teach layer, you still have to learn layers, ladies, but when I teach layers, I say, imagine that between them, there's a glass. So it's only the top, above the top glass is what you're working on. So here, if I go in and get a background, that places it there, but I can't punch it because it's not material. It's in the background. So we need to work with materials. And that's where you find the piece you want and say, all right, I want to cut a piece of this material, and you select what you want to cut from it. Now, on the right-hand side is where your punches are. And you will have several different types of punches. So you have my DigiKit. At the moment, mine will be full because my Daydream has a lot of different punches in it. They're beautiful, and most people never seen them. And they are fantastic to use. So if I took one of these, because I'm in this DigiKit and they are there for me to use, I could take a flourish, make it smaller, and if I say punch hole, and I move it, I've got a hole punched in that material. So then I can put a black color behind it, a red piece of material behind it. If I send that to the back, well, you can't really see the material I've got. Let's use a different one. I'm going to use that one. And I'm going to go to punch hole. Remember, we're doing the hole. So now if I pick it up, did that earlier. I don't know why it did it. And then I used a different one and it worked. I thought it was me, not, I thought it was the package. Let's try it again. There goes. It did it now. I think the reason for it, so that people would know when it didn't work, I think it's because my piece of material was slightly off the page. Could have been the reason for it. So there you go. I now got a lovely piece of material with a flourish cut out of it. So you say, why would I use that? If it was the size of your page or whatever you're working on, you can then place a shadow and it starts coming to life. And you see what a beautiful piece of material you've got that only has a hole in it. But it now looks as if it's a three-dimensional hole because I've placed a little bit of a shadow to it. So that's what the punch hole does. Now, I'm going to go to the other part where it says punch. So again, I can use the butterfly, but I'm going to use something different. Piece of material again, and I get one of my flourishes again. So if I bring a flourish and I make sure I place it in the right place, we know if we do punch hole, I'm going to get a white design there. But if I do punch, I get both. Now you would say to me, hang on a minute, Susan, if you delete that, nothing happened. But it's there. So if I take the edge of my big material and drag it out, that starts cleaning it off. So look, I don't want that because that's part of that hole if I kept it. And I've got my punch there. How beautiful are they? So all I need to do now, ladies, is just put a little bit of shadow onto it. And all of a sudden, what was just the punch became something more beautiful that can go lovely on your card. Okay, so they're the two types. There's nothing much more to them, but I'm going to show you something else you can do. If I go to my next page, I punched something out of a photo or a picture or anything, any material you have. I'll use the same material just for ease, but it makes no difference what JPEG you're using, basically. So how did I get the word punch punched in a material? Now, I did another session before this one, and I didn't go through the next step, but I did then show them because they wanted to do it. So I'm going to show you in this video for everybody because you then all see it. When you look at your punches, I'm going to move mine out. Don't move yours. I'm just moving it so you can see easy what we have. Under punches, you will find not only my DigiKit, which came with the DigiKit, sometimes there aren't any in a DigiKit and you have it empty. Then I've got a list. I have loads because I add them on myself. Some of them are actually part of the system. So for instance, banners, birds, borders, corners, you have all those creatures. Frames, you've got furniture, there's loads that you actually have, okay? One of the most commonly used one is shapes. But, so shapes, if I click, there's loads of shapes. There's also extra ones that I added to shapes. But then I said to my, or I usually say to my ladies, if you are going to be using punches and creating your own, I suggest instead of throwing them in everywhere and don't know where they are, you start organizing your own punches. How do you do that? So for instance, for names, I created one that's called names. And when I do a name like Susan, I'll put it under the names. What you can do as well is create a category and give it your own name. So I know that everything in here are punches I created. Okay? So for instance, I'll show you when let's do a category first. To create your own category, what you do is very simple. You can find an empty area in your set. Usually I do it in My Digikit, but whichever one you're in, My Digikit or Shapes, wherever you are, go to the very end and select the extra space you have, and you right mouse click. When you do that, it says add category. So I click on add category and it will say enter the name. So I could call it training 1. You can put one with your name on. You can type whatever you like as a name and then you go okay. Now under punches, I have a group called training 1. So what happens is I can easily, if I wanted to, put anything in it. So how do I put in the word punch or any names or text? Very simple. You will select your text tool and you type in what you want. Happy birthday. You can then change the font by clicking on select tool first and then go and change the font to whatever type you would like to use. Now, if you can have either, you can have the dainty ones if you wanted to. You can also have a bold one. If you're going to cut it from shapes, I'll go for something bold. The one I used there was the scary Halloween one. So you choose any font. It doesn't matter because you can have as many as you like. So what we do, we first do it how we want it. I'm going to make it smaller. And then I just click on it and drag it in the category I want to. And hey ho, I've got it there. What does that mean? That now means that if I've got a piece of material and I bring out my happy birthday, I can say punch, get rid of the big piece of material, get rid of that, and happy birthday is now made from the material I used. Can you see how great this tool can be? And then you will have something that looks exactly the same as your project. This is fantastic. It really opens up, as the English like to say, a can of worms. It keeps going, right? Now, next, there's one more thing before I show you some other stuff we came up with in the previous session. If I go on here, I can cut more than one piece of material at the same time. What does it mean? I'll explain it properly. If I had 2 materials, so that's one, and I had another one. And they are on top of each other. If I take a butterfly or a shape or something from in here, a bird, resize it. If I did punch, it will come out of that one, but it didn't come out of the bottom one because I only punched on its own, so it punches the top part, okay? Even if they were not on top of each other, if they were like this, it would only have punched it from the top one. But let's undo, and there's my bird, look, he came out on his own. But if I had two pieces of material, and one of them, the top one, I'm gonna use the scissors to cut a little bit of a squiggly line there. So I've got them like that. And then I decide I want a butterfly. So if I go to creatures, this is to show you what you got. There are all sorts, butterflies, there's knives, there's animals, there's penguins. I'll show you what I showed them with penguins. They're fantastic. You'd love them. So I'm gonna go and get a butterfly. I'm gonna make him smaller for the size of material I've got, and I'm gonna put him there. What I want is half of him to be from the rose pattern material and the other half from the green. So when I come to punch, I need to hold my control key down because now that will punch through the lot. So I can get rid of that bit and that bit. I can put them there if I wanted to. But can you see how it's now punched both of them? I'm going to take the punch out. It punched both of them, and I can group them, and I've got the butterfly I wanted with two colors. So that's holding the control key gave me the option to be able to do that. Now, thumbs up if the answer is yes. Did you know about all of these ways of using punches or not? I got a thumbs down there, that means they didn't. Right, so you've learned what you have there that you can be using without much fuss or much hardship, really. Now, here is what I then showed that I didn't record before. So this is the little bit extra before we then start working together under no recording. I'm going to insert a page, and I'm going to bring a piece of, let's draw a broth. Let me draw a box, so I'll show you what magical things you can do. So I asked the question because I was not recording, and I said, do you do cards, wedding cards or baby cards? And some said no to wedding cards, and some said no to baby cards. So I said, all right, I'll do one for both. Look at this, lady. I'm going to fill in my sheet, my square, it's only a square, with a bit of white or a light color green. Let's start with that one. And I'm doing a baby card. I want a subtle green color, but I want a nice design. It could be a birthday card, it could be all sorts. And all I'm using is one punch, and you're going to see what a difference it makes to your card. So if I go in borders, the first border, they're all nice, but the first border is a particularly lovely one I like to use. So I'm going to move it there to there. I'm going to make it slightly bigger than my material because I wanted to cut it all out, and a little bit outside it. And I'm going to punch a hole. Let's see. Let's do a punch. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do a punch here. So what did I end up with? I've got a piece that looks beautiful on its own. And I got a piece looks beautiful on its own. Let's move it out because I'll show you different things you can do with them. So now, got a piece there. And this one, I can drop it down there. And if I did, let me come a bit smaller so you can see the whole page. If I went on there and decided to do a little bit of a shadow, I now have magic. Can you see? It looks three-dimensional, as if you passed it through an embossing folder. It's absolutely, I love it. Another one you could do, go on a new sheet. Let me take or copy the sheet so I can do it. Let's just copy the page. Get rid of that. It's done. Please don't. Ah, I'm going to cry. It's going to open again, so don't worry. It does do that sometimes, and unfortunately, there's nothing I can do with it. I was going to pause my video, but it did come up, so it's only a couple of seconds. It doesn't really matter. So, didn't lose anything, so I'm all right. Somebody loves me. I'm going to click the save button before I continue. What I tell everybody to do, and I never do it myself. Right, I've got it there. Now, I'm going to copy this page. And there you go. I'm going to delete these to show you another way. So if I had a box again, I could have easily punched a hole. And if I punch a hole, let's put that to the back. If I punch the hole this time from my punch, instead of a punch like before, it now made it. Let's see if it's going to make it. Well, I don't know what's wrong with my craft artist. It doesn't like it, but it does punch it. Not punching. Okay, let's do another one. This proves to you, ladies, that it's not only you, it happens to all of us, the best of us. So don't worry about it. I'm going to bring another one in. I'm going to place it like so. And I'm going to say punch hole. And there you go. Can you see? Makes such a beautiful top of a card. Now, if I did a line on that, and I said no color fill, that can be changed into a cutting file if you wanted to. So they're the sort of things you can do. They're fantastic. Now, I mentioned, I'm going to delete that. I mentioned a wedding card, same design. The only difference is I do it with white. So if I change that to white and change this to white, then you see how nice that looks. And it's incredible what you can do with it. Right, I hope you enjoyed what I had to, oh, there's one more thing before we finish. So, another thing, if you did a design, you had a piece of material or a colored box or something, and you decided to want to cut it with using the scissors, which I think we did a lesson about scissors cutting. If you go and change it, and then you say, right, okay, I'm going to go freehand like so. And you did it in a way where you like it. Let's pretend that that's exactly how you wanted it. And you say, the only problem is, if I wanted that shape again, I can't get it. Or let's do one I like. I go to the scissors and not only do that, but even make the wavelength longer. And I cut it again. And then I think, well, that's brilliant. I really like that. How can I do it every time I want to? All you need do is remember, you got punches, you got your name punch that we would save, and you just click and drag it in there. And now, from now on, if the need arises and you need that shape, you can easily say, right, okay, let's have a look. You bring your material in, and then you say, what shape did I want? Oh, it's the one I used last time. That looks nice. And you say punch. Now I've got that piece of material punched again. I did something last week. I really liked it. That's when the idea came. I placed it there, punch. Now I've got that shape. Well, that's a shape I did today. The shape I did last week is actually somewhere up here. Well, wherever, it's that one. I quite like that. So look, punch. And there you go. I've got that design every time. Doesn't have, oh, I know I did it last week. It was really beautiful. I don't know how to get it. I got a punch in there. One last thing. Could be any material again. I did a tie. I did a gentleman's card. So before I finished, I dropped it in my punches. So now when I need a tie, I just go punch. And the tie is ready for me to use. I hope you enjoyed what I had to teach you today. It's now time to stop the recording. You can shut me up anytime you want when you're listening to the recording so that you can then do it. But what we'll do next, ladies, is I'm going to stop the record and I'm going to give you the time to have a test about all of them. Of course, I'll do it with you. Thank you for being here and for enjoying what I had to show you.